Hello everyone, and welcome to History of the Ancient World. Today we're embarking on a journey back in time to the land of the pharaohs to explore some of the most awe-inspiring structures ever built by humankind, the temples of ancient Egypt. These weren't just buildings, they were the very heart of Egyptian society, the places where heaven and earth were believed to meet. So grab your virtual sun hat and let's step into the shadow of these colossal monuments. When we think of ancient Egypt, pyramids and pharaohs often come to mind first. But the temples were just as, if not more, important to the daily life and spiritual beliefs of the Egyptians. They were called Hat-Necher, meaning mansion of the god. Each temple was considered the literal home of a deity on earth. It was here that the gods and goddesses were fed, clothed, and worshipped through elaborate daily rituals performed by a dedicated priesthood. These temples were the centers of economic power, owning vast tracts of land, employing thousands of people, and controlling a significant portion of the nation's wealth. Let's begin our tour at the most famous temple complex of them all, Karnak. Located in modern-day Luxor, which was once the great city of Thebes, Karnak is not a single temple, but a sprawling city of sanctuaries, pylons, and obelisks, dedicated primarily to the Theban triad, Amun, Mut, and Khonsu. Construction at Karnak spanned over 2,000 years, with more than 30 pharaohs contributing to its grandeur. Imagine walking through the great hypostyle hall. You're surrounded by a dense forest of 134 massive columns, each one reaching up towards the sky, covered in intricate hieroglyphs, telling stories of gods and kings. It's designed to make you feel small, to impress upon you the immense power of the gods and the pharaoh who served them. The sheer scale is breathtaking. Light filters down from small, clear-story windows, high above, creating an atmosphere of mystery and divine presence. This wasn't a place for the general public. Only high-ranking priests and the pharaoh himself could enter the deepest, most sacred parts of the temple. Just a few kilometers south of Karnak lies the Luxor Temple, connected by the magnificent avenue of sphinxes. Unlike Karnak, which was primarily for worship, Luxor Temple was the stage for one of ancient Egypt's most important religious festivals, the Opet Festival. During this annual celebration, the statues of the gods Amun, Mut, and Khonsu would be carried in a grand procession from their home in Karnak to Luxor Temple. This was a time of great public celebration, a rare moment when ordinary Egyptians could feel a direct connection to their gods. The temple itself is a stunning example of New Kingdom architecture, with its grand colonnades and courtyards built by pharaohs like Amenhotep III and Ramesses II. Ramesses in particular left his mark everywhere, constructing the massive first pylon decorated with reliefs of his military victories, and placing colossal statues of himself at the entrance, a constant reminder of his divine authority. Now, let's journey south along the Nile to a temple of a different kind, the mortuary temple of Hatshepsut at Deir el-Bahri. Hatshepsut was one of the few women to rule Egypt as a pharaoh, and her temple is as unique as her reign. Carved directly into the face of a towering limestone cliff, the temple rises in a series of 3 magnificent terraces connected by long ramps. It's a masterpiece of architectural harmony, blending seamlessly with the natural landscape. This temple wasn't dedicated to a specific god, but to the cult of the pharaoh herself, ensuring her eternal remembrance and divinity. The walls are covered with beautifully preserved reliefs that tell the story of her life, including her divine birth and a famous expedition to the land of Punt. It's a powerful statement of her legitimacy and success as a ruler. Further south still, near the border of modern Sudan, we find the incredible rock-cut temples of Abu Simbel. Built by the great Ramesses II, these temples were a sheer display of power and a warning to his southern neighbors, the Nubians. The Great Temple is famous for the 4 colossal, 20-meter high statues of Ramesses seated on his throne, guarding the entrance. Twice a year, on February 22nd and October 22nd, something magical happens. The rising sun's rays penetrate the temple's dark interior, illuminating the statues of the gods deep within the sanctuary. This solar alignment was a deliberate and brilliant feat of ancient engineering and astronomy, designed to celebrate the pharaoh's birthday and coronation day. In the 1960s, the entire temple complex was painstakingly dismantled and moved to higher ground to save it from the rising waters of Lake Nasser after the construction of the Aswan High Dam. This monumental effort by a global community shows just how precious these ancient wonders are to all of humanity. So, how were these temples built? It was a colossal undertaking that required a level of organization and skill that is hard to fathom. The process began in the quarries, where massive blocks of sandstone and granite were cut from the earth using simple tools like copper chisels and wooden wedges. These giant blocks, some weighing hundreds of tons, were then transported, often for many miles, on wooden sledges and barges along the Nile. On site, thousands of skilled artisans, stonemasons, and laborers worked under the direction of architects and priests. They used ramps and levers to lift the stones into place with astonishing precision. It wasn't slave labor, as popular movies often depict, but a workforce of paid and often highly respected craftsmen who dedicated their lives to these divine projects. Life inside the temple was a world unto itself. At the top of the hierarchy was the high priest, who acted as the deputy of the pharaoh, the ultimate high priest of every cult. Below him were ranks of priests with specialized roles. There were lector priests who read the sacred texts, scribes who managed the temple's vast estates and records, and wab priests who were responsible for purification. The daily ritual was the core of temple life. In the morning, priests would awaken the cult statue of the god, which was housed in the darkest, innermost sanctuary. They would ritually purify it, dress it in fine linen, adorn it with jewelry, and offer it food and drink. These offerings were believed to sustain the god's spirit, which in turn maintained the cosmic order of the universe, or Ma'at. After the god had eaten the spiritual essence of the food, the physical offerings were redistributed among the priests. The decline of the Egyptian temples began with the decline of pharaonic power itself. As Egypt was conquered by a succession of foreign powers, the Persians, the Greeks under Alexander the Great, and finally the Romans, the old religion began to change. The Ptolemaic and Roman rulers often adopted Egyptian traditions, even building their own temples, like the beautiful Temple of Horus at Edfu or the Temple of Isis on the island of Philae. But with the rise of Christianity in the 4th century AD, the ancient faith was actively suppressed. Temples were closed, their rituals were outlawed, and many were either abandoned or converted into churches. The sacred hieroglyphs became a lost language, and the knowledge they held was forgotten for over 1,000 years. The sands of the desert slowly buried these magnificent structures, and they slept, waiting to be rediscovered. Today, these temples are not just tourist attractions. They are open-air museums that give us an unparalleled window into the mind of ancient Egypt. They teach us about their religion, their politics, their economy, and their view of the cosmos. Walking through their halls, you can't help but feel a sense of connection to the people who built them thousands of years ago, a people who believed that through stone and ritual, they could touch the face of the divine and ensure their own eternity. The legacy of these temples is not just in the stones that remain, but in the enduring human quest for meaning and connection to something greater than ourselves. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the temples of ancient Egypt. I hope you enjoyed this glimpse into a world of gods and pharaohs. If you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to History of the Ancient World for more adventures into our shared past. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next episode. Let us know in the comments which ancient site you'd like us to explore next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. The next